Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the brand new episode of the In the Mixer podcast. I am here, your host Phil, along with two other hosts, not guests. I will never call them guests ever again. We got Michael and Elias. I don't know why I point because I don't actually know which direction you are in terms of north, east, south, west. But
Alex
yeah,
is pretty northeast, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, but I don't know which way northeast is sitting here at the moment. So
Okay.
I'm putting northeast right now.
we can only assume which
Debate
way that
it,
is.
go on.
I'm not gonna. How have you two been?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Can I do the announcement?
You can announce whatever you want. Is it personal or
No.
you haven't got any sort of
Ladies
illness?
and gentlemen, the In the Mixer show will be attending the Russia 2018 World Cup.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Unless I missed a flight.
Phil didn't want to bring it up, but I felt that it was, very appropriate.
I feel
Well-
like a football podcast. It's very appropriate.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
listeners, I'm very humble. I don't like to brag about things, but hey, we're excited. We're very excited.
We are.
We'd like you all to join us. We've bought tickets for all the listeners.
Unprepared
Oh,
though, because we haven't booked
nice.
a hotel room for all of us.
No. Although I'm more than happy to sleep on the streets. It's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't know what Russia's policy is on homeless people. Probably not a place we should be discussing that sort of thing. But what we should be discussing is football. And where else to start than the North London derby, which, I don't know if you follow the Twitter. I didn't get to watch live, unfortunately. And yeah, it ended up with a dreadful few 7 minutes of match of the day. But enough about that. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 0. A fantastic performance from Arsenal. Really dominated this game. And that front three of Lacazette, Sanchez and Ozil, looking good. Looking very good. And, what do you guys think? Is this Arsenal a brand new Arsenal?
Arsenal world class. I think you.
Yeah,
is
our
the
Arsenal
question.
world class.
No, but I feel like it's just so weird. It's just such a Spursy like performance.
It's bringing out the Spursy.
Yeah, I just feel like that is the appropriate word for it. Because I was watching like a pre-match montage of goals from the North London derby, and it was only Tottenham goals that were included from, like, I think it was the official Premier League or BBC or something like that who made that montage, and I got like really hyped, and watching those goals, I actually thought that Tottenham were gonna win it, but they didn't show up at all.
Is this is? I think this is the first one Arsenal have won in the league for like 7 games. Um,
But still haven't lost. I've only lost one at home under Wenger.
mm,
So it's
What, in the whole-
wherever you
his
pick the
entire
stats from,
reign?
I guess you can. Yeah,
its entire reign.
they've
It's mad.
they've only lost one derby at home.
That was to Harry Redknapp. I remember that game. If that is the one, probably is.
Or if you remember it, then probably.
Could be any of them. Could be any of them.
Yeah.
I'm that old. Mike Dean had an interesting performance. We'll get this out of the way because, let's be honest, I think Arsenal were better than Spurs. But this game, obviously, we like to hammer referees on this show, apparently. But Mike Dean getting a clear foul wrong, and then was it Mustafi's header?
Yeah,
Yeah.
great header.
Looked offside.
Yeah, it was a very good header.
But-
I didn't put it in my notes actually, which you've all seen, which is unfortunate. But I think Lloris kind of has to do a little bit better though. I know that it was like a looping header, but he still just stands still.
It's so
I
hard. It's so
I get
hard
that
to
he's like
criticize.
wrong-footed.
Yeah, it's so hard to criticize a goalkeeper for that though, because it's swinging in, and he goes for the across goal header. So
Yeah.
Laurie is moving towards the ball, and then the ball comes to the other side. So he will have to just I'm sounding like the goalkeeper expert right here, but
Yeah,
but he needs to stop at least and then move. And like the header is pretty well placed. Like he's off the post, and it's like a high header. Like, I think Laurie is seeing it and it's looping, so he might think it's going over, or he's just
Wrong-footed.
on the wrong foot. Yeah.
No, I really do agree, which is why I say it was such hesitancy. But I just feel like Lloris was still quick coming out in this game. There was a couple of through balls where he still had to come out, but I just feel like Lloris just isn't the keeper that he was when we were like he was the best keeper in the league being talked about, and I feel like that's just I don't know. Maybe that incident is I'm wrong, like, but it just felt for me like he probably could have done a little more for that.
Get Gazaniga back in there,
Yeah,
did the business. But I think there was questions thought he might miss out from this one through injury, so perhaps not 100% fit.
possibly.
Maybe, and I think that can be thrown perhaps at the England players who missed the England game because obviously Winks didn't play, which was a huge miss, and Kane.
So I was partying in Watford, wasn't he, or something like that?
Yeah, he's still there. He's still there probably. But yeah, so perhaps that was the reason. I saw the lineup as well. I was a bit confused as to why Son wasn't playing because obviously the way they played against like Madrid and Dortmund, sat back and hit them on the counter. I thought that could have really worked well away at the Emirates, where Arsenal want to take the game to Spurs. But yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I feel like he couldn't have left him out for like distance reasons, for travelling because he played Sanchez. Did he play Sanchez? I think he did, didn't he? Yeah, and he's obviously
Yeah.
Like I said,
and he flew an amazing amount of miles. I think it was. I can't remember exactly. But then you've got Sanchez on Arsenal side starting as well. So, I don't think that was the reason. So perhaps a rare mistake by Pochettino in the old tactical area of his style.
Yeah, and so another thing I think I saw on Twitter a lot of people criticizing why Sissoko was in the team, but I feel like I feel like he was at no fault at all. I think Arsenal really picked him out as a player to target really well. I think he was fouled probably 4 or 5 times across the course of the game, on like key counter attacks because it seemed to be in the position he was in, running through him, and they just brought him down every single time. Arsenal picking up 4 yellow cards, and it just seemed like Arsenal got their game plan right in that they thought that on any counter attacks Tottenham might do. Certainly Sissoko would seem to be a big part of them, even though he's been much criticised for his place in the team. He was just completely put out of the game, and I don't think that's any fault of his own. You can't help being fouled because he genuinely was taken out a lot of the time. So I think Arsenal also went in with a good game plan to counter like Tottenham individually, even never mind just a team.
Yeah, they were just a better team, I think.
Yeah, it's just straight up.
And they took their chances. Arsenal look very good in this game, and then obviously they're going to lose. Well, it looks like almost a certainty now they're going to lose Ozil and Sanchez. So asking how far this team can go. But as far as this season, do you think this sort of result might be a bit of a spring in the right direction, and top 4 is now probably a realistic target, maybe, or do you think it's still quite? Is this just a one-off good performance?
Well, the 4 points off United now, is that right?
Who, Arsenal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But they are still.
Yeah.
They're also level on points with Burnley, so it depends what way you take it.
No, it's true. Obviously it's still wide open, but they're a point behind Spurs, and it's like the case of the mind the gap and things like that. It really is like so wide open at the top of the table because a lot of teams have dropped points apart from City. So it definitely it's on the right track, but they have still a long way to go.
I think we're going to get an answer pretty quickly to that, since Arsenal's next game in the Premier League is against Burnley away, and also the game after that is Huddersfield at home and then United at home. So they just need to win all of those games, and then we'll see if they've got what it takes.
That Burnley game will be interesting, I think.
Definitely.
I think that's a game that Burnley will be looking at like, oh, fancy this, especially with Arsenal going to Germany midweek as well, and then coming up to that Man United game, which will be a big game. And Manchester United seem to hit a bit of form now that Pogba is back. Hashtag Pogback. Going back to when they signed him with the thing. A lot better now. He's in the team. Is that a coincidence? Is it because of the return in Ibrahimovic, or are Newcastle just bad? So many questions. I'm going to look to you guys for the answers. So, hit me.
Well, Manchester United are a better team than Newcastle, and they definitely show that in this game. Sometimes this season I've seen United dominate games. Well, most of the time this season I've seen them dominate games. But usually when they played like sides that haven't really got that attacking strength, they tend to be a bit passive, and I don't think I saw that in this game, and I think that's a massive positive for United because they need to try and even if they're dominating games, it feels like they could let in a few goals.
Mm.
If they didn't have David De Gea in goal, then they would definitely not be in the position they are now. And yeah, he's just a phenomenal keeper for me, and he just makes that team really balanced.
Mm. Yeah, De Gea is certainly a big part of this Manchester United team now. Going into this game was obviously Mourinho versus Benitez, and they have had, you know, a bit of history between the two, obviously.
Many a showdown.
What do you think? I mean, didn't really live up. Like, there wasn't really much build up to this one in terms of Mourinho versus Benitez. I don't know what you guys think. I think it was the first time they played each other in the Premier League as well for 11 years. I think I saw.
I just don't feel like it's that
It's
much of a big
rivalry.
deal anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like Benitez has fallen a bit in his reputation, and that's why he's at Newcastle right now.
You say that, but I think he's the one who probably prefers his job.
Yeah, you could think like that, but I still feel like the Benitez of old is probably not going to come out at Newcastle anytime soon, and we all know how patient Newcastle are with managers. They're probably going to give him a lifelong contract and then sack him like.
Well, we'll see
Nice.
what happens if they get these new owners in.
Mm.
See if they do back him with money and such. Manchester United could confirm they're top of the Champions League group with a win against Basel midweek. I'm not sure on the team they'll play for that one. I mean, I don't think it will be that strong considering Lukaku was back on the score sheet in this game as well, which will be good to see for them.
Had a lot better game as well.
Yeah.
Even went out wide. I think he got not assist, but he put the ball obviously into Rashford for that brilliant knockdown. Very mature knockdown for such a young man. Pogba's goal. So obviously
That
speaking
sounded-
as a
that sounded
21-year-old
funny.
here.
Yeah.
But no, it's a lot better from United. A lot better. Pogba makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, he definitely does. Rashford and Martial starting in the same team as well, which hasn't happened much. I don't know what you guys
that
thought of
is
that.
a massive delight. For
Oh,
United.
really?
At least for my dad, it is. And it's just like, of course, Mkhitaryan has a big impact in our team when he plays. Not like the last few games, but he started off the season very well with a lot of assists. But I feel like if they're really in form, all of those players, the best team or the best like attacking force United has is probably Rashford, Martial, Mkhitaryan, and Lukaku.
Yeah.
And of course, you can bring in Zlatan, you can bring in Mata, you can put Pogba in that spot where Mata or Mkhitaryan would play. So they've got a really strong attacking team. It's just they need to get some continuity. I can't say that
Continuity.
word. Yeah, exactly.
There we
At the back, like now they're playing Young pretty much every single game at left back. They substitute him off for either Blind or Darmian sometimes, but Valencia is there as a right back, and then it's the centre backs that they need to figure out who is the best pairing. And I think Michael has a few points to make about Lindelof this week as well, so I'm gonna.
See, I feel like I at the time making my notes I was a little bit harsh, and I put Lindelof mistake again. But remembering that Shelby also slipped a couple of times in this game, I feel like I'm going to let him off and blame the pitch, and that he slipped and he couldn't really help it. So
are you blaming the theatre of dreams?
I am going to on this occasion.
The grass of dreams, Michael.
I'm going to
The
blame
studs
the grass
of dreams.
And it didn't actually impact the game, but having Dwight Gale fully fit and fully in the squad is obviously a big thing for Newcastle. On the flip side, because I think he's played something like 70 minutes in the past. Was it like 600? No, not 600 hours. Like 400 hours of football.
Yeah,
They've been playing like just coming off the bench, hasn't he? Very late on. I think that's been a fitness issue. So having him back will be very useful because I think he's a lot better out-and-out striker than Hosselu. So.
I think you can say that about any striker in the Premier League, but I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that's true.
I feel like we have to mention the big man, don't we? Marouane Fellaini coming off the bench.
Oh, I thought it was
No,
going for Zlatan.
I was talking about Zlatan. I was just taking
Josh in.
Josh in. Zlatan Ibrahimovic coming on back for his return. Attempted a lovely side-footed volley thing. Bicycle.
On target.
Yeah, on target. Yeah.
Hashtag Zlatan things.
Hashtag Zlatan things.
What did he put on Twitter about Sweden getting to the World Cup?
Sweden.
Sweden with a...
Sweden. That was it's like he wasn't even there.
What did he say about the Lions as well, or something? In his post-match interview.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he said, but something about Lions anyway, which you know.
Oh yeah, with Pogba, it's yeah.
Yeah. So
honestly.
interesting. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of hype around him. Is he going to come out of international retirement?
No.
No.
What if he does and you don't pick him?
Well, I would be better off not picking him. I think.
You said that Sweden played better without him, didn't you?
Sweden played better without Zlatan because if Zlatan is on the pitch, all they do is give the ball to Zlatan, and if Zlatan is having a bad game, then Zlatan is useless.
Yeah.
So without Zlatan on the pitch, we play as a team, and that's why we are at the World Cup because we played really well as a collective. So
I think as well as Zlatan in like a position at club level where you see him every day in training and stuff, it's probably quite funny to have him around stuff. But if you only see him like a few weeks a year, like I can see him as quite an intimidating personality. If you know, that's yeah.
there are a few players in the Swedish team that you really like. They're not current players right now. They're not getting picked by the Swedish coach, but you can definitely see that they are trying their best to impress Zlatan when they're on the pitch at the same time, and it's really frustrating to watch. It was really frustrating to watch, I should say. So yeah, I just feel like some players need validation from the best player that Sweden's had. So it's frustrating to watch, but it's also kind of amusing.
Yeah, I understand that. Certainly, like I think England have had that in the past, where it's like players only pass to certain players and things, and a bit politicky for football.
Yeah.
So speaking of on-field politics, Liverpool obviously tried their hardest to manipulate this Van Dijk transfer. What do you think they'll think of Van Dijk now, having scored 3 goals past him in one fixture? Do you think they've effectively lowered his transfer fee just with this performance?
Still better than Lovren, so does it really matter?
And how much did they pay for Lovren? A lot, exactly.
Yeah.
I can't even remember how much that transfer was. Like 20 million, wasn't it? 18 million, something ridiculously high for the time, anyway.
It was 20 million, yeah.
For the time,
Most
that was 3 years
expensive
ago.
defender in Liverpool's history.
Wow, unbelievable! I think they got Matip for free. Crazy
What a
stuff.
legend!
I feel like he's getting dragged down to Lovren's level a bit now, though.
Oh god, yeah. But Schalke let him go for a reason. Like he's not as what he used to be.
You're only as good as your best defender. No, you're only as
No,
good as your worst defender. Is that right? I can't remember.
I don't think that's ever been said, but yeah, sure.
Okay.
I feel like that is like a reversed quote from
Yeah.
the goalkeeper is only as good as the defense.
Yeah.
It's like there's like a Michael Scott kind of quote right there. I don't see where that's coming from, Phil.
No,
I feel
that's
like
a-
that is completely made up, and that we should.
It's almost as if I've just said it and got it wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3-0. Do you guys want to talk about this much Salah scoring again? Southampton not scoring again.
It's literally not what we should talk about. It's Liverpool did what Liverpool do and scored, and Salah scored 2. Coutinho bagged 1, and Southampton had no shots on goal.
Southampton really have to be worried now, do you think?
Yeah.
About relegation. We spoke a bit about it a couple of weeks ago, and this is
Well,
only the start of their. Because before this game, they'd only played 2 of the top 6, of the top half, I think. So they've really got to worry.
It's not only that; it's like the teams around them are doing something about it. Southampton aren't. So it's like, how long does this slippery slope carry on? Like Palace, while they're bottom of the table, like they've been a lot better under Hodgson. West Ham have got David Moyes in charge, which while people might not see it as positive, it's still a change. Pulis, Tony Pulis is now gone, so West Brom are doing something about it. Obviously,
well, hold
Everton
on to our better material until.
All right, I'm spoiler alert, and obviously Everton have got whoever it might be coming in. No spoilers.
We don't know. Will we know by
Yeah,
the
we
time they play each other next weekend? Possibly.
Gareth Barry.
Gareth Barry coming back.
Thomas Shell.
We'll see. But yeah, Southampton's upcoming fixtures: Everton, Man City, Bournemouth, Arsenal, Leicester, Chelsea, and then after Christmas they've got Tottenham, Man United.
Man, they could well be like 19th, like Christmas. Like,
Pellegrino's going to be gone by Christmas, probably,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Pellegrino no more.
Why do you have to do this?
Oh man, I've got needs. I've got needs. And making bad puns are exactly what I require. Liverpool scoring goals then. Not much new there. We'll perhaps talk about them next week if they do something
Different.
outrageously silly or incredibly amazing. But I think no one really thought
They didn't
this game
concede.
would go
There
anywhere.
you go.
Yeah, but it was against Southampton.
Yeah. Couldn't you concede against Southampton?
I think everyone thought this game would go this way.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I think it was in Super 6 this week, and I got 22 points in total.
What is Super 6 for our listeners who don't know what it is?
Oh, it's Sky Bet's like free competition app where you get to predict the final score of select 6 games and predict the minute of the first goal scored in one of those 6 games.
Michael got 22 points.
I got 22 points out of 30, I believe it is
I was
as
gonna say
well.
out of 200.
No, out of 30, and 30 is £1 million. So I only got 2 results incorrect. I think Bournemouth scored a 4th, which I had them to win 3-0, and I can't remember what the other result was. I think it may have been Palace against Everton, something like that, or it might have been City. I had City to win 3-1. That was it.
We'll come to that later. Tony Pulis could do with winning Super 6 as he's out of a job. He still has to pay off Crystal Palace his millions, I believe. West Brom 0, Chelsea 4. I think Morata scored a goal in this game without an Azpilicueta assist.
Yeah, tap in.
It was a
Poacher's
Ben
goal.
Foster assist.
It was
wasn't
exactly the same as his Champions League goal against Barcelona when they lost 3-1. I know that because I was
Exactly.
watching a Champions League finals goal compilation literally the same day.
Brilliant.
So there you go. We live, breathe, and eat football here, but we drink water. So,
Should we just talk about the game? I'll start.
go on.
West Brom started well, actually, and then it all really went downhill from there.
I don't even feel like they started up.
First 15 minutes, they could have scored.
Yeah, Ellis, to be fair, it does say WBA first 10 minutes on this running order, so I think they did play well.
I put that in the running order for a reason. So, no, it was and they almost rustled Hazard, didn't they? Almost,
Oh,
but then he
yeah.
went and scored and got an assist, and and Hazard is getting towards, I won't say his best because he's been incredible, but he's getting back towards Hazard of old, and it's putting Chelsea there as well. And Fabregas got booked for simulation. There's all my notes spewed out in one.
Wasn't that a blatant penalty as well? I feel like I saw that and I thought it was...
remember.
It definitely
He
wasn't a
looked-
dive, there was contact.
It was contact, but he was definitely simulated.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember it now. I don't think it was simulation because there was contact. Like, I think for simulation it has to be there's no contact because you're like it's simulation. But if there is contact, you are kind of entitled to go down. The referee can just judge it as not a penalty. Don't have to book them really. I don't think it was. There's a lot worse one which we'll get to.
Okay, we'll get to that. Hazard has been linked. The link's coming back up to Real Madrid, and obviously with their predicament so far this season, that could be happening. He could be their number one target after Harry Kane, perhaps. Do you think he's replaceable for Chelsea, Elias? Do you think you could lose him and be okay?
I'd rather not. Well, we can maybe steal Gareth Bale off Real.
Maybe. Well, he's a lot
feel like
older.
that would be a decent replacement,
Hmm.
at least short term. But I really want to see a player that is at Michael's beloved club, Birmingham really get a breakthrough, because there is a lot of potential at Jeremy Boga. And I have no idea what Birmingham are doing not starting him in most of their games.
But he's too good for us. So what we've been doing is under Cottrell starting like Burnley style players. With all respect to Burnley, and it worked, so we can't complain. But he's just, I think he's left out of the squad because he's a bit too creative, and that's not really our style at the moment. We're smash and grab.
So I feel like he is the Chelsea youngster, except for the obvious one like Abraham and Lewis Baker, stuff like that. That is really looking for his breakthrough, and I just wish that somebody would actually give him a chance, because he did well for a relegated Granada last season, and was probably the best player throughout the year. And they wanted to loan him out to an English club to make him actually play, and he's not getting the play time, and it's just frustrating to see.
Antonio Conte spent his international break not just watching Italy fail to reach the World Cup. He probably chuckled about that a little bit, actually. But he grew a beard as well, so there you go. He said his wife asked him to do it, I think, and if it turned out to be a lucky charm, he'd keep it. So, hey, nothing's luckier than winning 4-0.
Can we talk about Morata's assist?
We can. That's more football related rather than male grooming.
Well,
Morata also has a good beard. Sorry, I'll just get that in there. Go on, links.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. But yeah, that flick is so intelligent.
Yeah.
I love that. It looked so smooth, and Hazard ran the keeper off that. That goal is probably my favorite this season, because it just shows how well they link up right now, and seeing Hazard round the keeper again is a joy. It's a joy to watch.
Well, we've mentioned how intelligent Morata is, and that's just an example of that. But West Brom, oh dear. I mean, what are West Brom going to do? Because a club in their position would usually think, right, what do we have to do to get out of this? All right, we'll hire Tony Pulis. Can't really do that now.
We can.
I mean,
Sacked him, so he's a free agent.
Get the new manager bounce. Just go on a few games.
Well, Pep Guardiola said a few words.
I thought you were
about
going to say
him.
was interested then. Just go to West Brom.
Yeah, a big hug for Tony. I'm a little disappointed. He's an amazing man. We always drink a good red wine. Hopefully we can do that again in the future.
Ooh, lovely.
That is like the. I can't imagine Pep in his lovely like cashmere sweatshirt and Tony sat there with a glass of red wine in his tracksuit. I can't.
Showing off his new trainers, much like
can't-
yourself.
Yeah, pretty much like my new Reeboks, Pep. Sorry, I only know of Andreas Bottanucci trainers or whatever it wears. I don't know.
Well, I look behind the curtain of the West Brom Tony Pulis goings on. Can only assume they're good friends. Not two people I'd actually think would get along. Pulis and
Very different, very different people and football
I
styles.
imagine they have really boring conversations, but they really enjoy those boring conversations with each
Oh
other.
yeah.
This is
Both pretty
how
good.
I utilise the long throw to its fullest potential. There's this lad called Rory. You should have done with him at Barcelona. There you
I've
go.
heard Delph can throw a ball pretty far. Yeah, well,
That's why he's in the team. So this wasn't the only 4-0 of the weekend, by the way. Boring Bournemouth smashed 4-0. Smashed 4-0. Smashed 4 past Huddersfield. Elias, I feel like they're single-handedly trying to call you out here.
Good.
Callum Wilson, I feel like that is.
He's back.
It's changing him. Yeah.
He's been one of the most hard done by strikers like in the Premier League the last few years with his injuries.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
as
He
soon
could
as
well
they
be in that England team if you hadn't been injured.
definitely. Because obviously when they first came up, he was a big part of that promotion season, and then he started that season so well, and then he just got hit with that ACL, was it? And then he got one in the other knee when he came back.
Yeah.
It's like poor guy, but it's nice. Good to see him back banging in the goals. Hopefully he can stay fit, and I mean it's probably a bit late for him to come back and get on the get in the team now for the World Cup, but I don't believe he's that old, so could be in the conversation for the
You
Euros.
said Glenn Murray can get there, so why can't Callum Wilson?
Well, there you go. Well, Glenn Murray's been doing it for years now.
Yeah, it's true.
He does a job, and there's not many who do it better. So yeah. Glenn Murray's world class. They're playing tonight, actually, Monday night, Brighton. So
M&F.
watch the MNF, as it's known to the kids.
Brighton against Stoke. We did debate actually delaying the podcast, and then remembered it was Brighton against Stoke. So
We did. We've never debated that ever. I think if it was if it was like Arsenal versus like United, well, that shows how old I am thinking that's the biggest game of the season. On a Monday night, then I feel like maybe not. Depends if it fits in with our schedules. Yeah, going from Glenn Murray to Andy Carroll seems like an appropriate transition.
Oh, come on, are you done with the Bournemouth game?
Oh no! No.
Phil, look how many notes I have. I have so many things to talk about. I feel Huddersfield were a little bit hard done by in this game. I think Lee Probert had a pretty poor game.
But he sent off a Bournemouth player.
How
were Huddersfield hard done by here? Come on.
So, first of all, a tackle on, I can't remember who it was. It was a red card. And I know I'm actually they said it probably wasn't a red card, but it was a foul. So there was a tackle by Daniels, which was a strong tackle, put it that way. And a Huddersfield player went off the field injured. And then from the resulting corner that Bournemouth had, they scored. So Huddersfield were down to 10 men. Callum Wilson scored. That was not only a foul. I actually think it was a red card.
Ooh.
It's probably quite controversial, but the way he tackles so strongly, like he tackles with his knee bent, which obviously means that his foot is like pointing down, but his studs were still slightly showing. That's kind of okay. He was a little bit out of control with it though, but his knee is at the same, like his other leg knee is at the same point that his other leg foot is, so that he's like it's like a 2-foot tackle, but a leg and a foot and a knee. So his knee just like crashes into the other player's ankle. I can't remember who it was, which doesn't help my explanation. I think it's a red card. It was a really poor tackle. I think it was really dangerous. And I heard the player saying it on the TV at the time, saying, "Referee, was that not dangerous?" or whatever he said. He said it was dangerous anyway. But then obviously they scored from that, so it was a little bit unfortunate. Then there was a little bit of poor defending for the second goal, but I'm not sure who it was. I think might have been Simon Francis was stood offside when the ball was played in. Now he wasn't interfering with play, but he stood where the Huddersfield players have to run and moves and walks backwards, and I feel that he interrupts the Huddersfield players like running back towards their goal.
So he is interfering then.
While he's not like directly interfering with play, but he's like still interfering with like the phase of play, because he's stood in an offside position. Huddersfield have got to move towards him, and he also obscures maybe like the travel on the ball. Like players might not be able to see it as well. Regardless, maybe that one's just poor defending. And the final thing was Simon Francis was sent off, but it felt like Lee Probert took a long time to give that because he was influenced by the crowd. He wasn't going to give it. The play went on for a good 20 seconds after. Then he brought it back and sent him off. And it was an obvious send it off, because I think it was is it Van der La Parra or something like that was through on goal,
yeah.
or not through on goal, but like Huddersfield were breaking, and I think that really frustrated Huddersfield, and they just sort of collapsed. Scott Malone with an awful pass / just got tackled for the third goal, but I think there was more behind this game than Bournemouth beating Huddersfield 4-0. I think Huddersfield were a little bit unfortunate, but then mistakes again let them down.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming a thing. But God, I'm glad you got that out of your system. You seem like you wanted to get that
I
out for a while.
really did. I was watching the game. It was just, yeah. I move on because it's just got to me, Phil.
I want to do like a little interjection here. If you listen to this podcast, when Michael starts to go on about that tackle, please close your eyes. Imagine the body movement, because that's what I did.
Legs, knee, other legs, knees, right, and there was a third leg knee.
Yeah, so basically this octopus. Oh God, help me, Phil! I told you, move on. You haven't done it.
Oh goodness me, that's funny. Yeah, we will move on. Watford 2, West Ham 0. Manager City in this one. No, it's not really. No. Marcus Silva is manager of Watford, and he's being coerced by Everton, it looks like. I wanted to talk about this a little bit because it seems like it could be the start of huge like transfer fees for managers? Because reports of Watford turning down 10 million.
10 million what?
10 million pounds.
Okay.
What did you think I was
You have to
talking about? Like
you
rupees
have
or
to
something?
specify currency.
Okay. Well, we're talking about British football, so I assumed you'd. But no, it's fine. It's
You
fine.
never know.
Seeds or
10 million pounds, which is the equivalent to around 100 million Swedish kroners. I'm gonna guess
A little bit more.
a little bit more. A little bit more. But yeah. Anyway, what do you guys think of that? Do you guys think I'm onto something?
But you're onto something.
Yeah. Do you think I'm onto
What
something
are
with
you
this?
onto?
I'm on
I
so
feel like
much.
This is not about you.
What do you think about managers and huge fees for their services?
I feel like we're moving backwards. I feel like transfer fees are looking to go away from football, like player transfers. So why would they start coming in
for
managers?
Yeah.
I don't see Premier League clubs needing £10 million for a manager. I feel like they can get that revenue from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Uh,
So just to like interject there, you said about footballers moving away from transfer fees. Because you wanted to talk about this in a previous podcast, I don't think you did. Do you want to tell us what you mean by that?
Well, I read there's a lot of like currency related questions going about in both football and society right now, and I feel like with money becoming less and less important for clubs since they're getting so rich in the Premier League, that we're probably gonna move towards a more drafting kind of transfer market, where players switch teams a bit more regularly, but also with no transfer fees, only contracts involved. And I think that is interesting, but it also gives the players a bit too much
Power.
say. Yeah. So, not sure if I'm looking forward if anything like that happens, but it's just inevitable, isn't it? Because the amount of money that is surrounding the Premier League and the biggest leagues in the world right now is disgusting, to be honest. And how much can you pay for a player? What is the limit where transfer fees become completely irrelevant?
No, yeah,
Because
that's a good point.
like when you look at the Neymar fee and the Mbappe fee, it's just too much money.
It's
Isn't
like
it?
monopoly money almost.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
crazy. The only thing I see with that is like how you implement that in the lower leagues and foreign leagues and things like that. That's the only sort of hiccups I can see. But then I suppose people have trade deals all the like now, don't they? There was talk of Sterling for Sanchez in the summer, so obviously that is going on. But it's just becoming just becoming a trading market rather than a transfer one is interesting. But hey, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so that's managers covered. David David Moyes, we should probably mention, losing on his debut. Didn't start Hernandez. Is this the end of David Moyes? Should he go? Should he leave? Should he be sacked?
Is David Moyes not world class?
Are the Dildo Brothers world class? That's the question. The question we should be asking. What do we think of the David Moyes appointment? Did we talk about that in much
I
detail?
think we talked about it quite a lot.
Did we?
Yeah.
What was our final thoughts? Because I can't remember. Probably not positive for West Ham.
It was no. It was just basically no.
Well, Watford coming away 2-0 winners then. Pretty happy with that, I imagine, as most teams are when they win. Richarlison getting on score sheet again. What a boy. Big fan. Yeah. So Moyes losing to a really good Watford side, though. To be fair, I mean under Bilic they probably would have lost anyway. So they're not going backwards. But we'll see. We'll see what time.
In a rock bottom.
Yeah, we'll see what time.
Watford needed that win though. They were a little not spiraling, but there was just.
They've been unlucky,
obviously
haven't they? I think.
Obviously losing to Everton 2 weeks back and Stoke the week before. It was just it was needed, and they got Newcastle next week, so it's another winnable game for them.
Yeah. I think that's complacency, those results, but hopefully they kick that now. Hopefully they got rid of it. Leicester nil. Crystal Palace 2, Everton 2. Goalfest.
What did you say?
Sorry,
Leicester.
Leicester. I
Oh.
was going to go to Leicester, but
I thought you said Lustig, and I got
Lustig.
really excited.
anytime you can get a mention for Lustig, just let it, just drop it. Anytime you want.
when I can mention Birmingham or Schalke, it's get him off the podcast.
I am amazed you haven't mentioned Birmingham yet, considering the result.
I,
this week.
I did mention
Elliot's mentioned it, and I'm pretty sure Schalke got a mention somewhere. So.
with Matip.
Yeah, so that's
Got it
fine.
all.
Good off this week.
Anyway, yeah, Crystal Palace Everton. 2-2 this finished. Palace showing signs of life. Everton also showing signs of life.
Goal of the season.
There you go, see? It's quick out the blocks, much like Roy Hodgson himself.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Roy Hodgson being so fast out the blocks?
No.
I can imagine he's just steady all the way. He's not fast, he doesn't have a quick finish.
Cross country.
Yeah, marathon.
Yeah.
But then he falls at the quarterfinals to Iceland.
We're sidetracking. Let's get back onto the football.
We are. Okay. Leicester 0, Man City 2. Man City staying top of the league.
Phil, I had a point to make.
You were talking and you didn't say anything about football, so I thought we were done.
Right. So
God.
obviously we talked about the Fabregas simulation, and Yas with a worse dive managed to get a penalty. Just decided to drop to the floor next to Scott Dan, and it was just obviously that was the equaliser for Everton from the penalty. Leighton Baines converting as always.
Like you mean Ricardo Rodriguez?
Yes, sorry.
Same person.
But then Scott Dan made a mistake later on in the game for Iniesta to equalise again. So, and Benteke should have scored. That's really happened. I just wanted to make the point because I'd talked about referencing another dive later on in the show. So,
Leicester 0, Man City 2. Claude Puel. Is this his first loss as Leicester manager?
yeah,
And not really one that
we can.
he can be ashamed about.
No.
Man City are a very good team, and Leicester had chances. Anything to say about this one, Michael?
No, I was just going to say, Damari Gray said that on Twitter, that he said you have to sometimes admire the opposition and how good they are. And I think that's true. Like Leicester did very little wrong in this game, but lost 2-0 to 2 fantastic goals. Or as I put in my notes, unreal first goal, unreal second goal.
Lamau.
Lamau, LOL. Yeah, so what did Damari Gray say? What did he say? About respecting the opposition?
Oh, sometimes you just have to admire how good the opposition are, beaten by the better team today. And I think that's just true. I think that's just true of every team that's going to play City this season.
Burnley getting a good 2-0 win over Swansea then. Paul Clement struggling a little bit perhaps. Swansea, there's just something about Swansea. They just don't seem to have the quality there. And Burnley getting a good 2-0 result and looking strong once again. And like we said earlier, level on points with Arsenal in that 6th position, and we'll be looking to jump upon them next week and go above them. So Burnley's season, they're just having a very good season.
Yeah, and Swansea's going a little bit south, like you said. Like Paul Clement even said it himself in the post-match interview. He said, when I came in, Swansea were on a similar run to now, so it's a case of trying to turn it around before the momentum kicks in, and they just
talk himself out of a job, is it?
I think it's I think it's a very honest.
Yeah, I feel like he's a really honest and humble manager.
Yeah, I agree.
That is it's nice to see, but are those the kind of manager that really do well in the Premier League?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, it was a rhetorical question.
I've answered it anyway,
Okay.
to nullify the silence. Really, do you think all of Swansea's bad performances are due to Renato Sanchez being overrated?
No.
No.
Yeah, maybe next time. Maybe we'll get him next time. According to Twitter, he's the most overrated young player to ever exist. So. But he's also the most underrated young player to ever exist.
I thought you said Wikipedia, and I was going to
Reliable sources.
We'll move on. Oh, we've done all the Premier League games now. Look at that.
Yeah.
We've done him. So, you know what we're going to talk about? European football. We're going on a European tour, guys. And you know where the best place to start is?
Russia.
I mean, we'll do that later. Probably in about 9 months or so. 9 months? God, I'm going to be late.
9 months?
7 months. I'm going to be late. I'm going to miss the plane again.
No.
That plane left 2 months ago. So, yeah, we'll move on to European football. Germany seems like a good place to start because Friday night, Borussia Dortmund, who had left out their main man up front, Aubameyang, due to disciplinary issues. Disciplinary issues, and they lost 2-1 to Stuttgart. I mean, Michael, Germany expert. What? Give us some Dortmund dirt. Dish the Dortmund dirt.
Oh,
That's the
Dortmund
new
next week.
segment.
I'm not touching it. No, I can't say anything. I'll tempt fate. Schalke have got Dortmund next week. It's not. No.
Okay, what about you, Elias? Imagine having...
Dortmund are not doing well this season.
No.
That's my verdict.
That's your analysis.
That's how much interest I have in the Bundesliga.
Oh, jeez.
They were doing really well. They've just.
Yeah,
not
I don't know
won in
what
6
happened
games.
really.
They're just
Like-
not winning 6 games. That's all.
Aubameyang is still scoring when he's playing, but I feel like they are getting let down by either the defense or like, I just feel like they're not winning as they used to.
They'll still get Champions League.
What do you think the Aubameyang thing is? He has a habit of getting into trouble, it seems. Or should we not speculate? Is that a bad idea?
No,
get
I saw
sued.
something that was like it was about a move to PSG protest, but
Why would he move to PSG?
it just makes no sense.
So they got Neymar, they got Cavani, they
You
got
feel even worse for
Mbappe.
Cavani.
Yeah, they got Di Maria. Like what?
I don't know. Maybe they just want to throw some money about. Who knows?
I feel like
Speak-
that's what PSG does the best.
That's all they can do. That's all they can do. Especially when they get kicked out of the Champions League for financial fair play. But hey, that's up for debate, and no one really knows how that works. So,
Yeah. Except
I'm-
Neymar, because he can throw everybody out of the Champions League.
he can. It's in his hands. It's in his hands.
Neymar after this week.
Oh goodness me. We're gonna have to start. Since he cried last week, and I didn't mention it because I felt really bad. I've been a bit skeptical, so I might leave that for a few weeks, then we'll come back to it when he's being a plonker again. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Interesting Serie A action Saturday night. The Rome derby. Roma beat Lazio 2-1. Big game, and Napoli beat AC Milan, which helped a lot because Juventus on Sunday actually lost away to Sampdoria 3-2. And you know why Gianluigi Buffon wasn't playing in that game, guys? Do you know?
No.
What's that?
The reason he didn't play, and get this because it's serious stuff, he was out due to World Cup heartache, and that's the official statement from
I
Juventus.
thought so. Yeah, I said he's upset.
That's not a genuine reason to not be in the
It
team.
must be.
No. He's a
I feel like
professional
that is-
footballer.
He has played. How many World Cups has he participated in? It's 3, isn't it?
Is it 3? Is it only 3?
I think it's 3.
Well, he played in 06 when they won. So he probably played in
it must
02.
be 4.
2, 6, 10, 14.
4.
Oh, well, yeah, it depends if he was in 02 or not, but yeah, 4
Yeah.
at least.
He was in 02. I know he was in 02. because
that's
he got
5
his
then.
scrapbook. No, what?
I didn't
02?
get there, Phil.
What? Who didn't get there?
For this year, I thought you were about this.
No,
year.
02, 06, 10, and 14. Oh, yeah. Fuck.
Maps.
Leave that in. Leave that in.
Maths. What? I counted it on my fingers as well, and I still got it wrong.
Probably ran out. That's why.
the dog comes back to
Oh,
bite
no.
once more.
Give me fingers back, you. Anyway, go on, continue.
We continue with.
You were making a point about him being at so many World Cups.
Yeah, I feel like he's a legend, but he shouldn't be crying at 39 years old age thingy because he's already been through a lot in his footballing career, and he should
I
be.
feel like crying's alright, but I feel like missing a game due to it's a bit much.
I feel like heartache is the more formal version of crying. I was gonna say a worse word.
Probably a bit more sympathetic towards a legend.
Yes.
You know what I'd like to see?
Transition.
You know what I'd like to see? Gianluigi Buffon and Billy Ray Cyrus, a duet
What?
of Achy Breaky Heart. It seems
What about-
that's what I'd like to see. But that's just me. So
Prob-
You
yeah,
could've-
it's probably just you. to be
You could have
honest.
transitioned that to a question we had from a listener.
well, you are the Twitter man, so you read
Am I?
it.
I don't even have the login to our Twitter. You keep saying I've got the password, but I have no clue what it is.
I've told you many times. Look deep inside yourself, and you will
You
find it.
keep saying that every time I ask.
Do you want it now? Shall I give it to you now?
No,
While we're
just,
recording.
no.
Password you must know, young Padawan.
Anyway, you know the tweet, so you read it out.
Okay, I will do.
Because I haven't got it handy.
So you can just cut out all that you just said.
Yeah.
So obviously a nice transition talking about Buffon being a legend in football. Obviously his retirement is almost upon us. I had a tweet from a listener, Otherworldly, which is in fact my girlfriend. Are childhood heroes like Messi, Beckham, Rooney becoming outdated, and who will be the next line of football heroes? Now I want to concentrate obviously on that final part of the question because I think that's the most interesting part. Who is the next line of football heroes?
Renato Sanchez, quite clearly.
Oh, see, it's how far back do you like predict?
Wait, so what was the so it was Messi, Rooney, and Beckham as the
Well,
childhood heroes?
But who's going to be this generation's? Well, not this generation, obviously, because we've still got Messi and Ronaldo right now. But when those players decline or retire, who will be the next one? Because we're probably already watching the next heroes.
Well, so you mean people that are in their prime now that will be remembered fondly?
I guess you could say that, or players that are up and coming that will become like the best to be
It's
remembered.
so hard to predict.
Yeah,
But I feel like Harry Kane is probably already set in stone.
I feel like we don't emphasize him enough. Like you think about Beckham, it's like Beckham's a brand as well.
Harry Kane is 23 years old.
Yeah, oh no, I agree, but I mean like you said already, but I think at this point, like I don't know. I feel like we throw footballers under the bus far too quick these days, and I don't know. I think it is really difficult to say who.
Marco Asensio.
Yeah, I was gonna say I genuinely was going to say that,
Should have got in quicker then, mate.
and I don't know. Maybe we're watching the next Leroy Sané. Maybe yeah,
Mbappe.
could be.
This is just what I thought you meant. When you said this, I thought you were talking about more like players that are like not everyday players, but players who are like playing now who will. Because it's really hard to predict. Because obviously, players from like I remember like people like Shevchenko, that were huge like when I was watching football, like when I was younger, and now, obviously he was a huge player, but now he's not really spoken about.
That's true.
Is that because of his time at Chelsea? Who knows? But like players like that,
Exactly.
of players that are, disappointing not to hear from as much. But then the players that I think a really good one actually, Iron Robin. I think he'll be like a legendary figure in a few years, 5-10 years, because he's done it in so many different divisions and internationally as well. He's got some great World Cup goals as well, so I feel like he could be one who's held in infamy for quite some time. That's my shout.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
No?
Like, I agree with that he's done it in so many leagues, but I don't feel like he will be remembered for just his like signature move to cut in the issue with his left.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is probably the thing you will remember him for. He'll probably be a Bayern legend, but people don't really talk about his time at Chelsea. People don't really talk about his time at Real Madrid. So I don't know.
But that's just good he still plays at Bayern though, or not?
I don't know. I feel like when you talk about players, when you talk about players like Drogba, he was a living legend playing for Chelsea, and you were talking about Drogba as this giant, like this beastly striker, just like a legend of the game. He is the complete striker. He can do anything.
Yeah.
while he was still playing at Chelsea, and I feel like you could probably bring in Zlatan in that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Zlatan has shown that he can score in every single league that he's been in, and he has done some ridiculous stuff.
Yep. He's a meme.
It's a meme.
He's a meme.
All right, but I don't see like Robin having that much of an impact on the world like Zlatan and Drogba did.
Do you think that's because he hasn't got that brand Robin, like that brand Ibrahimovic and?
Yeah, like Dare to Zlatan is a thing.
Exactly. Do you think that's perhaps the reason that? Maybe, I don't know.
So I feel like while we've talked about one of listeners' questions, we may as well move to another, and this one's coming in from Matt K. Prince. Pretty sure Matt's sent in a lot of questions to the show, and he sent in a few this week. His first one being, what is next for Pulis? If it's one of the bottom three, can he keep them up and relegate West Brom in the process?
I think there's been talk of Wales. I think.
I don't think Pulis gets another job in the Premier League for another year.
No, I agree.
I feel like West Brom are a very low tier team in the Premier League, and I feel like failing at them is in the current situation, like failing at them now. Obviously, it's been different in the past, but I think he's gonna have to spend a bit of time away before coming straight back because he could really damage his reputation if he can't have an instantaneous impact on a team.
I feel like you should really look at the teams that are in the Premier League right now, and look at the bottom five, the bottom six. Which of those teams will Pulis do a good job at?
Yeah.
If you look at Southampton, they're probably the one that's going to be needing a manager first. But I can never see Tony Pulis managing Southampton because the Southampton fans are notorious for wanting great football and scoring, and that is something that Pellegrino can't do, and that is something that I don't see Tony Pulis do either at Southampton. You got Stoke, Mark Hughes. I don't know how long he's going to be there for.
But he's been there. I don't know how highly regarded he is with the Stoke fans.
Yeah, but it's still I feel like probably a return for Tony Pulis at Stoke is probably the most logical thing if he was gonna go back to the Premier League. But I don't see it happening for another year at least.
I think he should go on like a David Moyes style trip, go to like Spain or something.
Oh my lord!
Could you imagine Tony Pulis on the touchline? Oh, brilliant. Malaga are struggling, although they won this week. Boya Baston scored. The former Swansea man. But yeah. That was
Talking
good
about
game.
scoring, there was a really high scoring game in the Eredivisie where Ajax beat NAC Breda 8-0 away from home, and 6 of the goals came from defenders.
Decent.
So the Ajax supporters are probably happy with the result, but I think the most happy players in that team are probably the centre backs, who are Donny van den Beek and Martin de Ligt, or Matthias de Ligt rather, who scored. Well, Beek scored 3 goals as a centre back, and de Ligt scored 2, and the right back David Neres got 1. And of course, Michael's main man, Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, came on and scored a goal.
Of course he did.
Lovely pronunciation there, Alice. Big fan.
Thank you.
Speaking of defensive players scoring for it, did you see? We didn't actually talk about it in the World Cup playoff thing. Jedinak scored a hat-trick for Australia.
Really?
They won 3-1 against Honduras in the second leg. He scored 2 penalties and a deflected free kick.
Sounds like my type of hat-trick.
That's one that you score yourself, I'm sure.
No.
No? Okay.
Just what I want to watch.
You got any favourite defensive goal threats? I know you've mentioned Gareth McCauley before.
Like
a
now,
personal favourite. Well, just throughout your time, who's been one of your favourites since watching football? Darius Sana.
Probably. But also watching back some World Cup and Euros Euros clips, like top 10 goals and stuff like that. Giovanni van Bronckhorst.
It's got some worldies.
That. Oh. But also Roberto Carlos, of course. Roberto Carlos is a big legend and a massive inspiration
Big
of mine.
legend.
Big legend.
If he's anything, he's not big.
Well, he's 5'6", but that has nothing to do with the word big in this sentence.
Big thighs on little guys.
Okay,
Should we, Michael, you got any goal scoring defenders that you like?
There's a right back, former
No.
Birmingham player. Okay,
Stephen Kerr.
yeah.
He's got a worldie for Spurs once.
Roger Johnson.
Okay. Wait, who did
Glenn
he score
Johnson's a
against?
big shout.
Glenn Johnson. Wait,
Yeah.
he's got some. He was
He's
like
got some
claimed.
amazing goals.
He made a career off claiming he was right-footed when he was actually left-footed. He's got some absolute worldies. Yeah. I can't think of any off the top of my... I mean, Paul Robinson's a goalkeeper who scored, so that was sort of
Is
counts.
he a big goal scorer though?
He's big. He's big. Okay, that brings us to MVPs and villains of this week. I've just gone back to villains now because
Villains is the better word.
Yeah, we have to stick with
it
villains.
seems very vindictive though. Calling someone
Oh,
a
get
villain.
on with it. We're
We
very
are,
vindictive.
Well, speak for yourselves. Speak for yourselves.
Alright.
MVP then. Who wants to go first? I'll open it up to the panel.
Mesut Ozil.
Oh, straight in there.
No reason.
No reason, just Mesut Ozil.
No, just Mesut Ozil. Single-handedly dispatched of a mediocre Tottenham side.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't really know who to go for this week.
Bournemouth
I-
scored 4, Elias. Come on.
They did score 4. but I
Callum
can't-
Wilson scored 3 of them.
It's against Huddersfield. All right, give Callum Wilson a reigniting the Bournemouth way of playing football.
Really, single-handedly.
Yes.
Oh,
Phil,
boy.
if you wait 5 minutes, you could maybe see a Glenn Murray goal when they kick off.
Oh, but I've got to
And
edit.
announce
It's going to be
him.
on in the background. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Um, Should I just say Glenn Murray as my MVP and just? Because he's
Well,
obviously
you-
going to score a hat trick.
Alright, so MVP for Phil is Glenn Murray this week. Fantastic.
Who has not started playing yet?
Who has yet to kick the football.
It's Pogba.
football.
I'm going Pogba.
Brilliant. I actually agree with that one. I think it's a good one.
Well, then why didn't you pick it?
Because I decided to pick Mesut Ozil because it was more offensive.
So you don't agree then?
And moving on to the villains for this week.
Disgrace.
Phil, can we have yours first?
Oh, you can have mine first. You can indeed. I'm gonna go. David Moyes.
Oh.
I
okay.
think it's really mean. And when they say villain, this is why I went with bleak this week because it's just bleak for West Ham. I don't particularly rate him as a manager, and just feel a bit bad for him. But yeah, we'll see. I hope he can do something to turn it around. Because I don't like people getting slated for no reason. But he just doesn't do
you
himself
like
any
West Ham,
favourites.
though?
Not really. But I'm on an unbiased show, so I can't say that.
Well, it's debatable. Elias, hit us with yours.
I'm just gonna have to go with probably Pellegrino. because
Oh,
I-
Elias, why every week?
Every week.
You steal mine.
Yeah, okay. I thought you said I'm mentioning Pellegrino every week, but
No.
I feel like I haven't given them enough slack. The the full Southampton team. So I'm gonna pick the full Southampton team instead.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just feel like they don't play with any passion right now, and it's probably because of the manager. But you can still make an effort as a player. So I'm gonna give it to the whole Southampton team, not the whole Southampton. That's harsh.
Yeah, well, mine was just obviously stolen by Elias, which is what courtesy gets you these days. So I guess it's very difficult. For
I mean,
me to
technically, he
pick
didn't
one.
say Pellegrino.
No, oh, I mean he did, so I can't really say it.
You can have you can take someone. You can
He's made
Double
three-
up?
He's made, You've made this hard for me. I tell you what, I'm gonna just.
Eric Dyer.
See, I thought Phil might have said Eric Dyer. See, part of me wants to say David Wagner because Huddersfield got turned over, but they're still 10th. You can't really criticise Huddersfield that much. I'm just gonna have to give it to Pulis. There's a reason he's been sacked. There's a reason West Brom are down there, and I think I gave it to Pulis last week, but it's just I can't give it to him next week, so it's fine.
Are you sure about that?
It depends what he says. He might come out and say something.
I doubt it'd be that impactful.
I feel like Everton are gonna go for debut. So it's gonna
Till
be
the end of the
hilarious.
season.
Yeah.
And then they'll give it to David Unsworth.
What an anticlimactic turn of events that would be.
What I do have to put this out as well. What I did find really funny is the commentator on Match of the Day saying, and Leighton Baines scores a penalty, which is why he's scored the most penalties for Everton. Then a little graphic came up. Leighton Baines is the second top scorer for penalties. David Unsworth has more, which I found really quite funny. It's just like, well, actually, you're wrong on his own show.
Just imagine David Unsworth, like, Leighton Baines is watching the highlights and that comes up. He's like, oh yeah, go on. And then David's like, come over here, lad. Let me just tell you about something.
Wait,
shows him
comes
the
up in his corner.
He's
There
got it
you
in his
go.
bedroom, like, framed. Like, you still got to get 3 more. So,
Brilliant.
oh, we didn't talk about Sunderland either.
No, well.
The longest ever home run without a win, ever.
Oh, well.
There you go. And Sunderland have just hired Chris Coleman, so we'll see how that turns out. I'm sure it will go swimmingly for him, and who knows? Anyway, that'll be the end of the In the Mixer show and this episode. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to get in touch, at In the Mixer Show on Twitter or inthemixerpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll be replying back and maybe reading out some questions on the podcast. It's goodbye from Michael and Elias.
See ya.
Hi.
So, yeah, and we will catch you in the mixer. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.